How wind energy is used. Wind turbines convert the kinetic energy from the wind turning the blades of the turbines into mechanical energy, and then a generator can convert that mechanical energy into electricity, and then it can be used in electricity grids.
Wind energy is produced through these wind turbines, which are mechanical devices that turn wind energy into electricity using the aerodynamic force from the rotor blades, which work like an airplane wing or helicopter rotor blade. The energy in the wind turns 2 or 3 propeller-like blades around a rotor. The rotor is connected to the main shaft, which spins a generator to conduct or create electricity. And some key terms are the mechanical transmission, which is the transfer of mechanical energy, physical motion, from one component to another in machines, as well as electrical transition, which is the process of delivering generated electricity to the distribution grid located in populated areas.
Percentages of primary energies. Globally, wind is the most used renewable energy source, making up about 6% of all global energy consumption in 2020, versus an 8.8% of the primary energy use in the United States.
This map represents the economic sectors where wind energy is used throughout the United States, and you can see in the darker blue shaded areas, that's where wind energy is used more. In states like California, Oregon, Washington, Texas, these more industrial states are where it's used more often and more progressive or liberal, you could say. And in southern agrarian states, they're used a lot less because of the politics and the economics. This graph represents the historical behavior of wind energy in the United States, and it's represented with the green. So as you can see, before 2000, it's not used really at all because the technology wasn't made. And as time has gone on, it's been started to use more, and this is due to new technological advancements such as the wind turbine that are really able to harness the energy from wind. This graph shows the global energy usage and the different sources. And as you can see, very similarly to the United States one, wind energy isn't really used very much up until the 2000s and the 2010s, and then it really starts to pick up in like the 2020s. Some factors affecting the growth are the progressive states that you saw on the map earlier in the West that are, becoming more common. However, in the South, the people there are a lot slower to change and adapt, and therefore it's taking much longer for wind power to become prevalent. A lot of other people argue that wind turbines are bad for the environment because they kill birds, which is true, but that little negative doesn't outweigh the huge positives of using wind energy. Another factor affecting the decline is a lot of people don't like how loud they are, and a lot of people will complain about the noises, which is also a somewhat invalid complaint, because they truly aren't that loud, and they aren't ever really close enough to houses to be heard.
Environmental impacts during production. The wind turbines take up large amounts of land, having to be placed up to 10 turbine diameters apart. Turbines placed on flat land use more than those placed on hills. This also takes away potential habitat space. Another way it can impact wildlife is collision deaths. It primarily affects birds and bats who collide with the spinning turbine blades. Communities within close proximity to the turbines are affected by possible sound pollution, as well as the visual disruption that the turbines can create. Some positive impacts of wind energy production is that no greenhouse gases are emitted during the process, making it one of the cleanest energies available.
So wind turbines have very minimal environmental impacts because they don't release any fossil fuels or toxic substances into the air, which could, hurt the environment and cause global warming. And they also don't use any water. So they're one of the most sustainable ways and environmentally conscious ways of getting energy.
While wind turbines have very negative environmental impacts, modern wind forms are meant to last 25 to 30 years, and after the metals are salvaged, the value paid for the decommissioning process, companies are required to post their security to cover the full cost of decommissioning to ensure taxpayer dollars are used. However, there have been instances in the United States where these windmills or wind turbines aren't deconstructed and they're just left abandoned, and they're taking up land and not polluting the environment because they're not doing anything, but they're covering land for animals to say.
Net energy. For every 1 unit of energy used to create it, wind produces 2.5 units of energy in return. Efficiency does vary with wind speed, but in the ideal range, wind turbines can be up to 59.3% efficient, and anything lower than the ideal range, efficiency can drop. A majority of wind turbines function with 30 to 40% efficiency, and energy is primarily lost during the process of moving the energy from the low voltage terminals of the turbines into the wind farms.
While wind turbines have little to no downside or negative value in them, there are some criticism from social justice communities that consist of the noise that they make, visual intrusions, electromagnetic interference, or instances harms of birds or bats and other types of wildlife, as well as distrust of developer objectives and lack of local ownership as the foremost reason for why they oppose wind farms. Wind turbines require these plastics and metals in their construction that are not renewable, but they do last a very long time.